What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with Jacob, where I interview doers, achievers, and go-getters and how they created their own luck and became successful. And today we are here with a very special guest, Rocky Garza from Dallas, Texas. Now, Rocky is a personal development expert with more than 15 years of experience who can help you explore your desires, motivations, challenges, and fears. In other words, he will help you to find clarity to know who you really are and to ignite the confidence to believe in yourself and the courage to live it out in your everyday life. He developed a very unique system, which is called identity mapping, which is a way for individuals and companies to find out why and how they do things they do. Throughout this journey, Rocky helped companies such as Microsoft, Hilton, or the Village Church. And in this episode, we'll talk about what it takes to discover your purpose, own it, and live according to it. So welcome to the show, Rocky.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much as well. I'm so excited to have this interview, Rocky. So tell me, let's start completely from the beginning. So people who don't know you, who is Rocky Garza?
Yeah.
Where do you come from? What is your journey? Tell me about it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Well, if you're okay with it, I'm gonna take you to the way back in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And we'll kind of work our way from there. So I'll keep it short, but I'll give you that because I think it matters. So I was born in the state of Kansas, and I've only lived there for like a week. So then I moved back to Dallas, moved back to Texas. So I lived in Texas almost my whole life. For me, growing up, my parents got divorced when I was young. My dad got remarried a few years later. He's still married, has two boys, so I have two half brothers. But I lived with my mom growing up. So after my parents got divorced, I didn't live with my dad anymore. My mom's been married and divorced 5 times, and so we moved a bunch growing up, just because either a new job she had and or a husband, and so we moved a ton. So between really before kindergarten and 7th grade, I moved about 12 or 13 times during that time period. And so
how was it for you as a kid moving that
often? I think at the time I didn't know any different. I thought that's what every kid did, right? Like I didn't realize for me, here I didn't realize that it wasn't until about 7th grade. So let's say I was 12. I didn't realize until I was 12 that like the term first day of school didn't mean like first day out of school. That's what I thought it meant. I didn't know that it meant like the first day of a school year, because for me it had always been the first day out of school, right? And so we moved about 12 or 13 times. At that point I moved in with my grandparents in 7th grade and then lived with them kind of and through high school for the next 5 or 6 years. And so it was I would say it's not necessarily a normal childhood.
Okay.
But in all that, I think one thing that I learned is I'm a pretty firm believer of whatever happens to us between the ages of 6 and 12 that we do to survive, right? It's like whatever happens to us in that time frame. When I say survive, I don't mean life or death, unless that's a part of our story. But whatever we understand to be true about the world is a really accurate description of how we operate as an adult, right? And so like I learned between the ages of 6 and 12, if I could outthink you, outtalk you, outwit you, out charisma you, out schmooze, out control you, out manipulate you, out whatever, if I could find a way to get on top, then I could keep myself safe, because I didn't want you to leave like everybody else in my life had left, right? My dad left, my mom chose men and jobs. No one chose me. I was the only child. And so for me, I learned really quickly that if I could be funny and I could be charismatic and be witty and I could talk really fast and I could engage with you and tell you many stories, well, not only could I build a connection with you, but and this is language I didn't have when I was in 7th grade, obviously not till much older, but I learned that I was really good at disclosure, but I was very bad at vulnerability. Meaning I was really good at telling you the same thing I was telling everybody else all the time. But because we had never met, you assumed, oh, that guy, he's so open. He's so honest. Oh, he's telling me about his whole life. I was just telling you the same thing I was telling everybody else. And I was doing that
just in such a mask you were wearing all the time, right?
Right. Because what I wanted to do is if I could build a connection with you, but not give you any more than I was giving anybody else. You could leave or I could leave. And then I would say, well, I'm still okay, even if you leave, because everybody else in my life is like that. And so I probably say I would live like that for the first 20, 21, 22 years of my life. Now, I was obviously not aware that's what I was doing. I was just surviving, but that's directly related to what I learned to be true between the ages of 6 and 12. And that played itself out between 12 and 21, right? So that 15, 20 year window of my life, and I think for most of us, what occurs then is a really accurate description of how we are now. And so really from that point on, kind of moving forward, I went to college and then worked at a summer camp for a while. I was actually a pastor at a church for a while. I met my wife. We were wedding photographers for a while. And then I started this business a little over 5 years ago. And so really for me now, this business is kind of a marriage of my life experience, 8 years of ministry or being working at the church. And so what I just say is deeply caring for people. And then 8 years of entrepreneurship, and put all those things together. And now for me, my goal, my desire, the way I hope to spend the rest of my life is I want to continue to help individuals and teams discover the confidence and conviction they need to build a life they believe in. And I think for me, that came from, I've journeyed that my whole life. Like I've spent a large portion of my life looking, where do I fit? Where do I belong? What's my purpose?
Okay.
How do I understand who I am so that I can then communicate that effectively to build now in my life, a real connection with someone, not something based on my ability to just tell you the same thing I tell everybody else, but a way for it to go, hey, there is something distinct and unique about who I am that I ultimately believe about me. If I can find that and use that, then there's a way that I have the ability to use that every single day in who I am. And it's not a facade. It's not a mask, right? Like I only want to wear one hat every day, and that's me. I want it to be me. And in parenting and relationships and marriage and friendships and business with clients, the same. I want you to get the same Rocky everywhere all the time. And so
It takes courage to be 100% authentic all the time. I mean, most of the
well,
people
yeah,
are
because
not capable of doing it.
well, I think everyone is capable of doing it. I think the thing between where we are now and our ability to do it is the belief of whether or not, one, do I have the language to understand who I am so that I can communicate it? And do I believe that language is good? Right. It's like in my time, I would say over the course of my life, but for sure the last 15 years, there's three things I think I've found that every human being wants. Now there's a million things we want, but there's three that I think have come true for every person. One is everybody wants to unique. Like everybody wants to know there's something about them that is unlike anybody else in the world. I think everybody wants to know what that thing is or what some of those things are. And I think that's not a crazy thing to think, because I think there's not anyone in the world like you. And I don't say that to be like, be good, feel great, change your, no, I'm saying literally identical twins shouldn't be called identical twins. They are twins. They're not identical. It's impossible for there to be anyone in the world like you. So number one, everybody wants to know they're unique, but that's true. So we can check that off. Great. Number two, I think we all want to be affirmed in our uniqueness. We want to know that the thing that makes us unique, that other people in the world see that as a good thing and that it has value and is beneficial and is worthy, right? So that puts us in the context of connection and community. So the first one is about us. The second one is about our connection and with other people. And then the third thing I think we all want is we want to use what makes us unique for good. We want to use that in the world in a way that challenges, encourages, develops, and propels other people and serves them in a way that is beneficial to them. So we all want to be unique. We want to be affirmed for our uniqueness. We want to use our uniqueness for good. I think every human being I've ever met wants those three things. Okay. So then
regarding the second point, firm in our uniqueness, you actually ask quite interesting question to people. Let me quote it. I'm not sure if I get it completely right, but the question goes something like this. What is the thing you would like people would notice more about you? Right? What is this question? Can you rephrase it? Like how it works?
The question is, what is one thing about you that you feel like gets missed that you wish other people could see in you?
When I heard this question on Bradley's podcast, it really got me thinking. I literally stopped the podcast and started thinking because I've never heard anything similar in my life. How do people usually react when you ask this question?
Well, people either immediately have an answer. They have, so when I ask that, they're like, oh, I just wish people knew this, because they think about it all the time. It's typically related to our biggest fear or insecurity. That's what that thing is. And so it's on the front of our mind. Or people, sometimes like Brad, in the best way, go, nothing. I don't care if people know about me. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, I mean, I get it, but also that's not really true. Everybody has something that is innate in the core to them that they wish people would recognize, but for whatever reason in their life, they haven't recognized. And the reason I ask that question is because I think if we can begin to dig down into what that is, I think there's an immense amount of freedom to be found for what that is. So like, as an example, as you've thought about it, what was something that came to mind for you?
I think that I would like people to notice more about me, that I'm actually more capable of helping than they can see themselves, right? Something like that, something in between those lines.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing that you feel like gets missed about you that you wish other people could see is that you have the ability and desire to help people understand who they are?
Uh, no, more like about that. That I can contribute more to their life, right? Maybe they
Mm,
underestimate my skills or something like that,
mm,
and I
mm.
would like them to see more that I can bring more value to their
Yeah,
life.
yeah, great. So let's use that as an example really quick. So if that's the way you'd answer the question, then I would go, okay, what do you feel like keeps people from seeing that?
Hmm. I think not communicating it properly might be one of the things.
Right. Okay. And so is that because of lack of confidence or is that because of lack of language?
I would say, I would say a little bit of both.
Okay. So then give me two words to describe what makes you valuable and your ability to help me serve me. What are those two? What are two things you can do?
You mean like specifically, for example, for your business?
Or business person, what are two things about you that you have the ability to help people with?
Mm, I think that I can help other people set their habits right. That's what I've been helping other
Okay.
people. And
Okay.
second thing is that I can help them build their personal brand or something like that.
Okay. Okay. So we're talking about discipline and we're talking about our ability to then communicate what that discipline is doing for our life. Because
Yeah.
someone's personal brand is their ability to take what they're right. Okay. Okay. Next, I want you to see when you go, you're going to go back and watch this later, hopefully. I want you to be able to watch your physical expression when the difference when you said like discipline, like habits, and then like maybe their brand. And then
Uh-huh.
when I repeated it back to you, your physical expression that you have now, when you heard it back, you did this. Oh yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So what we did
guys,
is
if you're
so
listening,
now we've
if you're guys, if you're listening this on only on Anchor or on Spotify, watch this on YouTube as well, so you can watch my physical physical reaction
yeah, for
to
sure,
this
for sure.
short coaching discussion
Yeah,
I had with Rocky here.
yeah. And I think what happens is so what we did there is we gave you half language and half confidence. All I did is take what you said and I just said it back to you in a way that I thought it would apply to me. I mean, I know what you're saying, but the way that applies to me is to go, oh, you can help me create discipline in my life. And if I had more discipline in my life, then I bet it would give me the ability to communicate more effectively who I am as a person and my personal brand. That way people could see it more clearly.
Hmm.
And you said, yes. Okay, so now you know not only do you have the language, but now you have built in a small touch of confidence to go, when I have this language and communicate it this way, now I have a belief in myself that it's good. And now people will see it. And now it doesn't get missed. And now it's not something about you that you wish people could see that gets missed because of fear, insecurity, lack of confidence, lack of
Right.
language. It is something you have the language and you've built in the confidence. And now on repeat, 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 people say, what do you do? And you say, I'm right now, I'm the happiest I've ever been because I'm helping people find discipline in what they're doing on a daily basis. So that gives them the tools that they need to communicate effectively who they are as an individual and their personal brand so they can build a business that is true to who they are.
Hmm.
And if I'm somebody as a personal brand, I'm like, great, fantastic. I would love for you to help me.
Love it.
Right.
So all right, Rocky. I know that so many people are hearing from every side on the internet, like you should know your why, you should do what makes you happy, you should discover your purpose, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so vague advice. It's such difficult to grasp, right? I think
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
wants to do what makes them happy, but
Right.
what should I actually do in order to find what makes me happy?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think figuring out what makes you happy is a good question. But I think typically that question left by itself typically only points back to us. So what makes, even the nature of the question, what if I ask you what makes you happy? Well, then your answer goes, well, when I do this thing for me, it makes me happy. And there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that, but that's only, to me, that's only one side of the equation. We can't survive like that. That makes us narcissistic. That makes us mean. That makes us prideful. That makes us, that's not, I don't think we were designed to do that. That goes back to our three things. What makes you happy in life? That's number one. What makes you unique? That by itself, not valuable. We add the component to that goes, so what in life makes you satisfied, happy, passionate, and that you believe is value in your ability to connect with other people. And so I think for me, where I always try to take people back to is to go, I want you to start, and I'm going to use a word, I'm going to define it because I know it has a lot of meanings for different people, but similar to value or why. Like I want to help people discover what are your deepest convictions for you that you believe. And when I say conviction, I'm talking about a deep belief that you have that you are unwilling to waver from. Okay, that's when I say conviction. That's how I'm defining it. It is something that is inherently a strong belief you have, a stake in the ground that says, from here, everything I do will be guided by this in any direction, but this thing is non-negotiable, right? And so,
And
to give an
these are
example,
built between age of 6 and 12. These are the convictions.
well, no, I think these convictions come. I think our experience between 6 and 12 lets us understand
Right.
what is true about the
Gotcha.
world. I think our convictions come when that gets married with just general life experience, and then doing the work to go, what do I really? Let me get rid of everything. Everybody online who says I'm supposed to do something. Well, do it like this and do it like this and try this and believe this and you need to 10x this thing and 5x this thing, all whatever all the words are we're supposed to use. Those are all valuable, but first I want you to put all those aside. I want you to decide first, what do you really believe, and what do you really believe in, and what are going to be the things in your life, in your soul, that you are going to say, I'm going to put a stake in the ground here, and everything else I'm going to build is going to build on top of these things. So, an example, when thinking about business goals, right? The number one question I get every year: hey, what's your goal this year? What's your revenue goal? What's your client? Whatever those things are. And so this year, my answer to that question is my number one goal this year for my business is to eat breakfast and dinner with my family no less than 300 times. That's my number one business goal. Because I think everything else in my business will come the way it needs to, but that thing I'm not jeopardizing. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what kind of check you want to write me. I don't care how great the place is to go and speak or do an event or work with your team. If it is going to prevent me from eating breakfast and dinner with my family 300 times, I'm not doing it. So I have to be mindful of that in February. I can't just be gone for 2 weeks straight because I only got 65 days and that's 14 of them. And I just shot 14 of the 65 days in the second month of the year. It's not a good idea, right? And so that for me is a deep belief, a conviction I have about my life and my family that I'm not going to jeopardize, and everything else in my life is going to go from that, because I have a belief about who I am and what I want for my life. So it's not based on that something that I can go say, because of I'm going to achieve this thing or knock this thing out, or if I get to this point, then I'll do this and then I'll be happy. No. I'm saying, what are the convictions in my life that I believe give me joy now? And I don't want to jeopardize those. And then I'm going to let everything else be built off of those things.
So what comes first, convictions or my core values? Like, for example,
So I would
that.
say,
Okay.
yeah.
Go on.
I would say core values and convictions they're like cousins. So they're to me they can be synonymous with each other, right? Our personal values are the language that builds our convictions, but they go hand in hand. Okay, so for me, my personal core: vulnerability, generosity, fearlessness, intimacy, and experience. Those are the 5 things in my life as a person, not as a business, as Rocky Garza, the 5 things I value most: vulnerability, generosity, fearlessness, intimacy, and experience. So for me, that's the language I'm using to build the convictions in my life, right? So then how I'm going to spend my time, what I'm going to do, how much energy I spend in my business, how much energy I spend in my family, all those things are built of these things have to be the root of that. It has to be all driven and motivated by these things. Does that make sense?
How did you come up with these core values?
Yeah, so it's you can go online and Google core values list if you want to.
Yeah.
You can shoot me a message and I'll send you the list that I use when I work with people. But I went through a list and I just looked through them all and I said, okay, I'm going to pick 5 because I think 5 are digestible. And I'm going to pick the 5. And I define core values as the why we do what we do. They're the reason, intention, and motivation behind everything we choose in our life. And before you have business values or personal brand values, you got to have human value. You got to pick your values as a person. So do that first. And you can even go, I think it's live. If not, I'll make sure it is by the time we're done. But you can go to rockygarza.com/values. And there's a page there for you to go through and take yourself through this exercise for free. So you can do that. So rockygarza.com/values, and you can see the list and pick 5. Because to me, those 5 things are the most foundational aspect about who we are as human beings. So I think our values lend itself to us building our convictions. Convictions, to me, lead to clarity. Okay, so we have conviction, and conviction leads to clarity. Because when I have deep conviction about what I believe, now I can see things clearly and know where I want to spend my time. Everywhere in my life, not just business, everywhere. Clarity leads to confidence. When I am clear about what I'm seeing, now I have the confidence to go, that's a good thing and I want to use it. We just watched your face.
Mm-hmm.
You went from conviction, this is what I know, clarity, and this is how you say it. And clarity said, confidence, okay, I believe
Hmm.
it's good. And then the last step is courage. And then we need the courage to actually move our hands and feet to take action, to put those things into practice. But action is step number 4, not step number 1. And I think that's where a lot of us get caught up, is because we go, well, what do I need to do today? Well, the first thing you need to do is understand, what do you really believe? You need to understand who you are. You need to be able to see that clearly. You need to trust that it's good and have the confidence. And then, and only then, we're 4 steps in, then go take action on whatever that is. But
Hmm.
if you go the other way around, every day you wake up and it's like someone spinning you in a field and saying, head north. And every day you just guess and hope you're headed in the right direction. Well, my belief is if you can wake up and go, no, what is my deep conviction and belief? That's where north is. Do I see it clearly? Do I believe that it's good? Do I have the courage? Now take action. Now move forward in that direction. And if we can do that every day, it helps build. Now it comes right into what you were saying. Now I can understand what's the discipline I need to do that, so that I can make sure. Maybe we'll say after courage, we'll add you to this. After courage is discipline. Can I have the courage to do this every day on
Yes.
repeat every day?
What
And that
happens?
allows us
What
to,
happens if your North Star or your core values are not aligned with your current life? So let's say that you modeled your life, your North Star, the way how you would like to be in the future, but your current life is nowhere close, and you might be afraid of change. Right? You might be afraid
yep,
to leave your
yep,
job, to leave your relationship, to start
yep,
going to gym because you're fat. What would you do in this situation? Because that's the first step. You come up with what you want. You already know what steps to take, but something's holding you back.
yep. Then I think you got to do the work to identify what is the fear, doubt, obstacle, or insecurity in your life that is keeping you from believing, one, that you are valuable enough to take the steps to change your life, and 2, fear can't be the thing that's going to keep you from doing something you feel strongly about doing, that you trust, you believe you're supposed to, simply because, and all those things you just said are all based on what somebody else is going to think about me,
Hmm.
based on
That's
my
true.
own fear. They're based on what I think you're going to think about me. What's my friend going to think about if I'm not friends with him? What's this person going to think about if I change my job? What's this person going to do? All that is based on somebody else's opinion of who I am, not
Hmm.
based on what I believe I need and am supposed to be doing, because it's who I am, right? It's all based on what someone thinks. It's not based on who I am. Those are 2 totally different things. Fear, doubt, obstacle, insecurity comes because I'm too worried about what other people think. Confidence, courage, clarity, all those things come from a deep belief of who I am.
Hmm.
So what happens is when I hear you say where our North Star is changing, or it's who we are inside did not change. That's always been there.
Right.
Our ability to see it clearly and have the confidence changes. And so we go, are we going to be driven by what people think, or are we going to be driven by who we are?
But I think making the step to the second option, that's the difficult part, and I think that's where most of the people fail, and that why they are stuck in their miserable relationships or jobs. Right.
I agree. I agree. And I think most of us at times get stuck there, um, because we have been told our whole life that literally, and by people's actions, and by just hop on any social platform, they'll tell you this, that they say feelings don't matter, emotions don't matter, who you are is not that important. Just go out there, hustle and grind, and if you'll put in the work, you'll get the reward. And I agree. You can put in work and you will reap a reward. Now, my guess is if it's not aligned with who you are, it's not going to be the reward you want, but you'll get a reward. Go outside and get a shovel, start digging. You'll put in the work. Guess what you'll have when you're done? You'll have dug a really big hole. You will have a reward for what you did. But maybe that's not what your job is. Maybe that's not how you wanted to spend your time. Well, then if we're willing to put in so much effort, so much energy, so much work every day for our business, how do I scale? How do I grow? I got to invest in this. And then I ask people, hey, when's the last time you spent 3 hours, back 30 minutes? When's the last time you spent 30 minutes doing nothing but assessing who you were, why that mattered, and how to be the most effective and efficient version of who you are as an individual? And almost every person I meet says, I don't. And so
Hmm.
then my question is like, well, then I'm not surprised that you're not getting the result that you want. because you're putting a ton of effort into things that you think people want you to do. You're not putting effort into the things that are a direct result in who you are.
Hmm. So people
Now, I'm not
don't
saying those
take the
things.
time. People don't take the time to take a step back and to reflect on their actions, right?
Right. I mean, even folks that are listening, when's the last time that let's go 2 hours. When's the last time you spent 2 hours uninterrupted, no technology, doing nothing but assessing who you are, what that means, and then how to be the most effective, efficient, and confident version of what you know to be true about yourself?
Hmm. 2 hours? Well, it's been a while.
And I think most of us would say, yeah, man, it's been a while. I haven't done that. And I'm not saying that because I'm saying anyone's bad or wrong. Not everybody thinks that way. Some people can knock it out in 20 minutes. Some people need 8 hours or some combination in between there. But we expend so much energy in so many arenas that are outward focused, so many places so that someone can see who I want them to see, as opposed to spending the same amount of energy. Let's just call it equal. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just saying give an equal amount of energy to be able to look inward to go, well, who am I? What do I believe?
Mm-hmm.
What do I know to be true about myself? How do I operate best? Do I have strong emotions and feelings? Do I not? Do I think logically? Do I not? And the easy part about some of that is uh, I believe every human being is an irrational, emotional person. Every one of us. Now, some of us like to use Excel and logic to tell ourselves we're not emotional, but that we're just using Excel to make our feelings feel better. Some of us don't do that, and we just let all our feelings out all the time. And some of us are some variation. Most of us are some variation in between. But
Mm-hmm.
we're all emotional, irrational people. And so, but because that's not like the sexiest thing, because that's not, I can't fit in a nice box or a great photo for us to share. Um, that's not, we don't like to live that way. We like to say, oh, I'm this or I'm this. Uh, if we can just all agree that we are all unique and that we are all equal, that everybody in the world is equal with somebody else. To me, there's a lot of freedom in that to go like, I'm not competing with Jacob. You're not my competition.
Mm-hmm.
We're two totally different people. Why would I be so afraid? Why would I be so scared that you're gonna get something or take something or there's plenty?
Hmm. That's a great
But
approach. Yeah.
that's because that requires work though, to sit long enough by yourself or with somebody else. And for me, that's a driving force of what I do is I want to be the unbiased third party in your life. I want to be able to go, hey, tell me what you're thinking. Right? Like you can't hear yourself when you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're just talking. People think we can. I mean, me too. I'm guilty of it. Talk to myself all the time. I think I can hear myself when I talk to myself, but I can't. I just talk. I'm just talking. That's why we can talk ourselves in or out of anything. We can make up some story. We talk to ourselves for 30 minutes and we're convinced something is happening. It's not happening. That's because we can't hear it. We're just talking. And the only way we can hear what we're saying to ourselves is if we say it out loud. And then when we
Right.
hear it and we have somebody else across from us that can help say it back to us, we either go, yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying. Or we go, that is literally not what I've been saying at all. And now that
That's
I can
exactly
say
what
it out loud.
well that's exactly what you did a couple minutes ago with me, right? With confidence and habits.
That's right.
uh, when it comes to like reflecting on these things and thinking how to become the best version of myself, like
Yeah,
in 2 hours, I think people need to give themselves a permission to do it, right? They need
I
to give
agree.
themselves permission to sit for 2 hours um, without any interruptions, distractions. But I
Yeah.
think for most people, or at least for me, 2 hours, first thing what would come to my mind is, well, there's just way too much work to be done. I don't have 2 hours. So I need to figure out the way how to not feel guilty about
Mm.
not working for 2 hours
Yeah.
or not being productive for 2 hours. But yeah,
Okay. So those are two different things. So I'm going to break them apart.
working and
So
productive, right?
the
Yeah.
emotion you said is you said, I feel, you said, uh-huh. And you said, I feel guilty for doing not for, if I did this, I would feel guilty for not doing these two things. Spending 2 hours diving into who you are and to find clarity about yourself. Uh, how is that not working?
Hmm. Right.
Okay, let's use your other word. Spending 2 hours dedicated to finding clarity in who you are. How is that not productive?
Hmm.
But
True.
we've taken self and we've taken personal development. We've taken who we are and we've removed that and said that doesn't belong in the work or the business place.
Mm-hmm.
because uh, no one yet, and being dramatic, I'm sure somebody has, but no one yet has figured out the Excel document where if I calculate my hours of self-development, that shows me what my ROI is on that. And so because of
Right.
that, people go, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in my equation.
Uh-huh.
And I would say, if you want, and we just posted a video on this on Instagram, if you really want that line, that ROI to increase sustainably, I think the single greatest metric you can look at for yourself and your team is how much energy and effort you're putting into caring for them, developing them, supporting them, and creating spaces of vulnerability and empathy. If you want this ROI to increase over time sustainably, I think that's the single biggest metric we have to look at
Hmm.
for
And this is
ourselves and for
exactly
anybody that's on our team.
this is exactly what you do for individuals and businesses, right? You come to the company, or you talk to a person one on one, and you become this third party person who is reflecting on what is the person saying, how is
Yep.
behaving, how
Yep.
is moving, and so on,
Yep.
right?
That's exactly right.
So
Yeah.
how does it exactly work when you come to a company? Let's say that somebody who is running an organization
Sure.
is watching. So how does it work, and how do you help exactly?
Yeah, so you can, so if you are someplace that you're either coming into town or local, I have teams that come to me here in Dallas, Texas, and you come to our office and we spend a full day together. So we always start with any team. My goal is to start with a process we call identity mapping. So that's a process we created that you referenced earlier. And we do that, we call team identity mapping. And so we take, let's say, 10 people on your team, and we get you guys together for a full day. So it's 8 hours. And yes, it's 8 hours during the work week that you're not answering email, that you're spending together. So just go ahead and get that thinking. That's what we're
Mm-hmm,
doing.
mm-hmm,
And we spend that 8 hours together. What we do is we create an environment that allows us to build the clearest picture of who we are as an individual we've ever had in the context of this people we are spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with. Because typically, as a leader, no matter how effective you are, because of the relationship of work that have this underlying agreement when I go to work that I will do this and you will pay me. And because I work, I get a check. And then that's what we call a job. So that exists. But that creates this odd dynamic everywhere, I believe, that keeps a majority of us, if not all of us, from really communicating who we are as individuals, especially to our leaders, because there's always this little bit of fear of like, well, I can't really be that me at work, right? Like I have a work me and a me. And I think what my attempt to do is in team identity mapping is we spend 8 hours together in an intensive that allows us to begin to, one, break down those walls, create a space of vulnerability where we have the opportunity to see each other. That's how I define vulnerability, creating the opportunity to see and be seen by others. I'm asking you to show up and show us who you are, and then create the
mm-hmm.
space to see somebody else the same way. And then we go through our identity mapping process. And so it's four main pillars that I take your team through. Number one is it's kind of a get to know you exercise. It's an opportunity for you to get to know you. And so we
Mm-hmm.
kind of go through four questions. Number one is, what do you think about most? Where do you spend the majority of your brain power? So I'm just trying to get to see how your brain works. What do you think about most? Number two, what three things in life do you fear most? And so again, to kind of get to the root of what are some of those things that are inhibiting us on a daily basis. Number three, if you could do two things the rest of your life and be totally satisfied, what would those two things be? No rules, no restrictions. You have all the money in the world. You could just do two things. What are they? So really trying to like dive into like, what are the things that drive us and we're passionate about and inspire us? And then lastly, question number four says, if you could do, what's one thing in life you hope to accomplish? And that's not like skydiving. That's not what I'm looking for. What is one thing in your life, what legacy marker you're hoping to leave in your life? And so we start by answering those four questions. Everybody writes down their answers, and then everybody goes around the room and shares their answers aloud. That's, again, you can't hear yourself when you talk to yourself, so everyone's going to share everything out loud. And I just go one by one with every person as they're answering to help them, just like I did with you in that 45 seconds, is to do that with every person on your team over the course of that 8 hours to help them see what they're not seeing. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a guru. I'm not a magician. I don't have the ability to draw anything out of you that's magical. I don't tell you anything about you that you don't tell me first. I'm just helping you see it in such a way that you can't see it by yourself. And I think that's really where my strengths are. That's where my sweet spot is, to help individuals and teams do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's pillar number one. Then we go through and we kind of build our identity map. Pillar number one is our core values, which we talked about earlier, and our core values being why we do what we do. The second part of our pillar is our strengths. And I define strengths as strengths are how you do what you do. Strengths are not what you do, they're how you do it. If I say, Jacob, what's one of your strengths? And you say, my arms, I say, great. So what do? You don't say armsing. That doesn't make any sense. But when we talk about our strengths, we like to make them the what. So if your strengths are how you do things, well, what do you do with strong arms? You can push, pull, punch, hug, carry, lift. You can do a lot of things with strong arms. Armsing, though, is not one of them, right? So strengths are how I like to say strengths are how we human. So values are why we do what we do. Our strengths are how we do what we do. And then we have a last exercise we call identifiers. And so those are all words end in ERO, or so challenger, inspirer, truth teller, analyzer, observer. We pick 3 of those. And so we end up with 13 words on our map. We have 5 values, we have 5 strengths, and then we have 3 identifiers in the middle. And now we begin to build out our identity map. It gives us the ability to have a language to say, what do I do? How do I do it? Why do I do it? Everywhere in my life as a human being, in every situation, at work, at home. And now what we do with your team is you see, this is who you said you are. You see every word on that paper. You told me those words. You wrote those down, correct? They say yes. And I say, so this is who you are. And they say yes. I say, great. So is this how you are as a husband? Yes. Is this how you are as a father? Yes. Is this how you want to be as an employee? Yes. Can we take this and now pair this against your job description to see how you as an individual can do these tasks your way that's the most effective? Yes. Great. So what we're doing is we're trying to close the loop on going, everybody here has affirmed that that's you. Everybody in your team is nodding their head in affirmation going, are you unique? Yep. I just proved you on 13 words. There's no one in the world like you. Number 1.
Wow.
Number 2, are you affirmed that uniqueness? Yes. Everyone in your team is shaking their head like, that's exactly Jacob, right? I mean, it's every day how he is, right? And then we go, that's what number 2, check. Number 3, how do we use that uniqueness for good? How do we take this now what we know, this language and vernacular about who we are, and how do we apply that to what you do every day? Well, what you do every day at work is your ability to serve another person, to do good, and to make sure that you're providing value in what it is that you're doing. 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. Our ability to do that in an 8-hour period with our team is because you come into an environment where your guard drops. And because I don't work here, I can ask anything that I want. And you want to answer, because let's go back earlier. I said, when's the last time you spent 2 hours assessing yourself? And you said, it's been a while. So let's bump it up now for this event. When's the last time you spent 8 hours doing nothing but assessing who you were with the people that you work with 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? And 99.9% of people would say, I never have. And I would say, great. That just the fact that we are here means that we are winning. We're doing it right. We're moving in the right direction.
It's a paradox, right? You're spending 8 hours every day, 5 times a week with these people, and you actually don't stop and you don't take a moment to get to know them properly.
Exactly. So that's team identity mapping.
What effect you see in these teams after you do this team identity mapping?
Yeah. So number 1, we're a guaranteed increased engagement, right? And so by engagement, I'm meaning that people are engaged when they go to work because they now walk in the office and they see a friend, because they see a human being, because they see someone that knows them. Right now they walk in the office and you go, hey, Jacob, how are you? Good. Hey, when's your next triathlon? Hey, how's your daughter doing? Hey, I remember you said that, right? If we have touch points and connection points with each other to be able to go, hey, remember today, this is who you are. Don't worry about that because we already decided that's not true about you. Well, we get to have that conversation like walking past each other in the office. That wouldn't exist before. Increase engagement with each other. We're trying to increase engagement, our ability to communicate. Number 2, each time we're also increasing retention. When we give people a language to understand themselves, we increase their commitment level to want to be in the workplace because they know who they are. So they believe they're providing value. So they want to be there, right? Especially anyone under the age of 35. I think that's one of the key parts about quote unquote millennials. They don't change jobs every 2 years because they're flaky. They change job every year because they got hired on someplace and their boss says, this is who we are as a firm. And 18 months in, they realized they were lied to. That's not who they are. So they just said, forget it, I'm gonna get a job someplace else. Or they say, I'm just gonna do it for myself because I don't want to do it for you, right? And so our ability to see that for those of us who want to be in that space, increase retention. And then lastly, I think it gives us the ability to go back to our point earlier. I think if we could use that as a metric for the greatest ROI on our business, our ability to know each other, ultimately is going to help you grow your business. You're going to have better product, you're going to have better service, you're going to have increased clientele because we've increased engagement, we've increased retention, and now we're creating growth in what we're doing because you've given people conviction in who they are, clarity to see it, confidence to believe it, and the courage to live it out every day. I think those are key components for be able to create an effective workplace for our teammates.
And you do these things for individuals as well, either as a one-on-one coaching, or you recently launched an online program, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so you can, folks can, we can work together one-on-one. It's a 12-week intensive process. And so we spend one full day together to get started. And then after that, we meet for 90 minutes every week for 12 weeks straight. And there's like daily touch points where you and I have together every day for 12 weeks. And so again, kind of to your point, we'd spend a full day together to kind of really dive deep into who you are. And then we're going to spend 12 weeks, which I'm sure is similar to something that you offer folks, is to build that discipline and habit of going, who am I and how do I put it into practice? Who am I? How do I put it into practice? And I want to be on that cadence intensely every week, and then some way every day for 12 weeks to
Is it
really
in
understand
person
who we
or
are.
can it be online like we're talking
It
right
can
now?
both. Yeah, it can be both. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So some folks are local, and then a lot of folks are online. So that's one-on-one. And then we recently launched an online platform called Be Known, under the pretense that we believe that every individual deserves to be known. And so a lot of us are just missing the parts to do that. We haven't been given the tools or resources. And so we have an online learning platform where we have three main categories of learning. We have clarity of self, confidence, and building meaningful relationships. In each of those, we have multiple courses that are created and aligned to be done and shown over the course of this year. You get 24/7 access to the platform. You get to go on, look, see, learn, and watch as many times as you want. Each course is designed for you to take multiple times. And so kind of in each, we go, hey, only to think of this one thing, use this one thing in this course. And when you feel good about this, come back to it again and now write down a second one, right? So we want it to be kind of ever evolving and growing with you. As a member of that platform, obviously you have access to it as much as you want. We do 2 calls a month, basically. So we do a call every other Monday that's live on Zoom for anyone who's a member of the platform to jump in with us. It's kind of part deeper dive into our curriculum, and also part Q&A for folks just to ask questions, to share where they are, and for us to kind of help each other and give feedback in what we're doing and what we're doing. And then we have a private Facebook group where if you're on Facebook, you can hop in there. We just do updates and chat back and forth, and kind of gives us access outside those calls every other week to chat with each other. So all of that, it's only $49 a month, which, is less than the cost of you going out and having 2 drinks and a dinner with your friend. And so again, let's go back to that ROI. How much money are you going to spend on Facebook and marketing ads every month? And if you just cut 4 hours off your Facebook ad, you could have unlimited access to see and understand, develop yourself. And so again, it's just a matter of how you want to spend your time, how you want to spend your resources. My belief is, we talked about earlier, that I think all of us are consistently on a journey to uncover what makes us unique. Is that affirmed, and how do we use that? And I think we've created some really, really good, effective tools for folks to be able to do that work self-paced for yourself, to see, uncover, figure that out, and then ideally to live a life of conviction and clarity in who you are.
So guys, if it sounds good, I will include links in the description of this podcast or of this video. But anyway, it's rockygarza.com. And we'll talk a little bit more about where can people learn more about you. But I have one last question. Give me like one actionable tip for people, or even for me. Let's say that I'm in a situation that I'm not fully satisfied with, and I want to change it. I want to change it, but I'm afraid to do this step. So what would you do in this situation?
Yeah. So I think number one is I think you got to do the work to identify what is the fear, doubt, obstacle, or insecurity that is keeping you. You've got to be able to look at it before we can address anything or make any change. You have to be able to be clear enough with yourself to write it down. What is that fear? What is that obstacle? What is that insecurity? What's the thing that you know? Because I think that typically comes from a story that somebody has told us about us, right? Most fear that we have is not because it is true. It is because over the course of our life, somebody else has told us it's true, either with their words or with their actions, right? So our ability to understand what that is, what that story is, and where it came from, to me, that's step one. You got to know, what is the fear, insecurity? What is the doubt? We'll call it doubt. What is the doubt you have? And where did that doubt come from? Who did it come from? And it's not a blame game. We're not trying to make people feel bad. For ourselves, we got to identify what is, right? For me, I have to ask myself, like, what the doubt comes from. I ask myself, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Is it going to work? Is it going to, right? Well, I got to go. Where did that come from? Well, I told you part of my story. I spent a large portion of my life hoping somebody would love me, care about me, and there was a place for me to belong. And so it's still something I think about now. Okay, so I've identified that, but that's not my story. That's a story somebody else told to me about me. So step one, what is the fear? What is the doubt? Number two, where'd that come from? Where did the story come from that made that a truth in my life? Not that it is true, but I believe it to be true. The second thing is, what is the story I tell myself about myself that matches that? So somebody else said this about me, but what am I saying to me that matches this, that affirms this? When do I say, Rocky, you didn't do enough? Rocky, you feel guilty for not going home. To your point, you feel guilty for taking time to understand who you are because it's not productive, it's not work, it's not right. Well, this is mine. This is what somebody else told me. I can't control the story somebody told to me about me. I can't change that. I absolutely have the ability to begin to change the story that I tell myself about myself. And so, am I valuable enough? Am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Well, it depends on what I say to myself. What is my marker? What is the thing about it that I can go is true? Do I do my best to love my wife? Yes. Do I do my best to spend time with my kids? Yes. Am I doing my best to build a business I believe in, not based on what anybody else thinks or what I believe in? Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or it's working. I'm saying that, yeah, that's true. Okay. This story, now they don't match. This is my story, not the one someone told me about me. So because they match, I have to remove this one. And I have to go, this is my new narrative. My new truth is I am doing enough and I am working hard enough. And I am building something that's because I believe in it, not because anybody else wants me to, because I believe in it. And so now, guess what? This fear I have starts to go away. This insecurity I have starts to go away. This doubt, this obstacle I have starts to go away because I'm willing to unbreak the story, to kill the doubt, and to build conviction, to build confidence that says, this is who I know that I am. I'm not going to let this story that somebody else told me dictate my life any longer.
Amazing.
So I think anybody who is in that space doing that, I think that's the work. And we have a course on our platform called Kill Doubt, Build Confidence. It's 8 chapters. It's about 48 minutes. And I walk you through what we just did in 6 minutes. We do in 48 minutes with questions after every chapter for you to go and dig and go and dig and go and dig to get to that. And then once you've killed that one doubt, guess what? Hit repeat. Let's do that bad boy again. Let's go over it again. So yeah, that's my suggestion.
So guys, you can do it yourself, and it will take you some time, but you can do it with Rocky as well, either with his one-on-one coaching or with his new program or with one of his courses. So Rocky, tell me, where can people find out more about you, where they can follow you? I know that you started being more active on Instagram, producing some really high-quality content. I love it. So tell me all the places, all the platforms, where can people give you a follow or reach out to you?
Yeah. So thank you. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those are just Rocky Garza, ROCKYGARZA, at Rocky Garza. And same thing for Facebook and LinkedIn. On YouTube, you can just find me. You can search under Rocky Garza. We got content that's going there as well. RockyGarza.com will take you to the online platform called Be Known. And then if you have a team that you're interested in serving or working with, you can get there from RockyGarza.com, or you can go to staffretreat.co. That's STAFFRETREAT.co, staffretreat.co. And it'll tell you all about our team development, as well as the monthly program we have for teams to continue coaching within as well. So there's not very many Rocky Garzas out there with a hat. So just look for that in any of those places, and feel free, never hesitate to reach out. Shoot us an email. It's just rocky@rockygarza.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to chat with you and see what I can do to help you build confidence and conviction in your life.
Amazing. Rocky, thanks a lot for coming to my show. And guys, if it brought you some value, please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, or if you're watching it on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends, because this has been an incredible episode filled with an amazing value by Rocky. And till next time. Rocky, thanks a lot.
Till next time. Thank you. Appreciate it.